Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's NC Scout in here in Brushbeater Store. Great to be with all of you today. Quick fire topic, a little bit of team talk going on. We're going to be talking about something that you don't really see get a lot of attention online, but is a critical task in keeping your weapon running. Whatever your dedicated weapons platform is, be it the AR-15, AK, FAL, any of your handguns, whatever it might be, and that is the magazine. Um, the weapon isn't functional without a magazine, and in the countless hours, hundreds of thousands of rounds that I put down range, whether it's training, real world, whatever, what have you, the number one point of failure in that design is the magazine itself, right? Whatever the weapon's design is. That's why care and maintenance of your magazine is critically important, and you need to pay attention to it. First things first, it's kind of a hot debate back and forth whether you should keep mags loaded, unloaded, whatever. My chest rig here, I've got mags on it that are loaded, they're ready to go. You probably ought to cycle those, though, just to be on the safe side. I don't fall into the camp that, your springs are going to take a set or they're not or whatever. Whatever, man. I'm not the expert on all that. But what I will tell you is it's probably a good idea to cycle your mags. Throughout my deployments overseas, that is what we would do. We would actually number them, and you would have your mags that was on your kit, and you would cycle those. Across my deployments, I probably had, I don't even know how many mags, but typically I would have a box. You keep them in that are empty when you're cycling them out. You run a mission, you've got your magazine loadout on that, your ammo's loaded up, you unload it after that mission, you go through a cleaning process of your mags. So you're going to completely disassemble it and then clean the internals, wipe the springs down, wipe the follower, make sure everything's clean on it, and then reload those mags. Care and maintenance, that's kind of my maintenance routine. I still do that today, and I do cycle those mags quite a bit. Talking about the magazine itself, so we've got our one each standard AR-15, M4, M16 Stanag magazine here. My preference in magazines is running just the old GI spec aluminum mags. Make sure that you have a no-tilt follower in there. This is loaded 77 grain ammo, which is what I run open tip match across all of my rifles. Very, very effective round. But what a no-tilt follower is doing for you in this, and this is pretty much industry standard now. There was a time, I came into the Army when we were using the green follower mags, and you could push the nose down of the round. So you got a little bit of play right here with this. When that happens, they're not feeding reliably in the weapon. That's obviously going to lead to an issue. The primary source of malfunctions that I have found, at least in my experience in the AR-15, as well as any variety of sidearms that you have out there, is the magazine, and that in particular of rounds tilting down and failing to feed. With that said, a couple other mods with a mag. I really like the Magpul Ranger floor plates on these. They do make these for the Magpul PMag as well. I like running these because when I am out and about, let's say, I'm carrying a rifle, I'm also going to be carrying gloves, right? I'm going to be wearing gloves because, as we interact with things in our working environment, you can get sticks and, whatever stuck in your hands. My experience overseas taught me that, you're going to be touching things usually that you don't want to be touching with your bare skin. That can lead to contact dermatitis and infections or whatever. So you're going to be wearing gloves, and I run just the cheap gloves that you get from Harbor Freight. like the mechanics knockoff gloves, because you're going to blow through those things. All right, don't spend a ton of money on them. You're going to blow through them. You're going to tear them up, right? But what does this have to do with magazines? Well, having that extra little bit when I'm wearing gloves helps me have a little more tactile ability there with my magazine, with it seated in the magazine pouch or in a pocket that I have somewhere, right? And I can draw that. A couple other little tidbits about mags. Make sure when you are examining them, when you're doing an inspection on them, that the feed lips themselves are not bent or deformed in any kind of way. That's definitely one point of failure that a lot of people don't pay careful attention to. Last fighting carbine course, there was a guy that was running a mag, and he said, oh, this is my go-to training mag, quote unquote. Well, I don't know what that is. That's some terminology that he pulled probably from some corner of the internet. I don't know. I don't have training mags or go-to mag or whatever. I just have magazines that work in my weapon. They either work or they don't. If they don't work, they go to the trash. That's just that. But you want to inspect your mags and make sure that the feed lips aren't bent. His had a minor bend in it that I could see. He couldn't really tell that. He was having some issues, malfunctions on the range in between drills. And I say, let's check this out. Let's see if we can examine what this point of failure is. And it turned out that he had a bent feed lip on his mag. Now, I know a lot of guys are probably going to say, well, mag pull mags, like we've got a P mag here, mag pull mags are, well, they're so much better because they're impervious to damage or whatever. That's not true. Okay, that's a myth as well. Mag pull mags definitely do have several points of failure on them and will. That's kind of a myth. I was in a TIC one time, troops in contact, and I ended up with a Pez dispenser, and that was the first generation P mag. Went to the prone very quickly, and the spine on this, it was wintertime in Iraq. It does get cold in Iraq, contrary to popular belief. Spine on this popped, and a bunch of ammo came out. So when I drew that magazine to do a reload, thinking that I was pulling out a mag to reload my weapon, that one was trash. Kind of had a bias against mag pull for a while after that, but hey, that is what it is, right? Definitely a lot of people have had failure stories with aluminum mags as well. I haven't, and that's why these are usually going to be my go-to. Anyway, folks, the bottom line is keep those magazines clean, pay attention to them, inspect them regularly. That is, in my experience, your primary point of failure in your weapon, and that is something that I have found chronically people haven't paid attention to, and it ends up biting them in the rear. Definitely want to mitigate the influence of Murphy when you least expect it. Just like mayhem, he likes showing up. Anyway, folks, hope that is a little nugget of wisdom that you can pull away and use. Of course, we've got the Brushbeater Scout Rig here in God's Plaid M81, available at brushbeater.store. Look forward to hearing from all of you. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Talk to you real soon. This is NC Scout, out.